I got your license plate. I'm gonna call the police.
If you get a chance, check out this woman's original video. They were out selling things for Valentine's Day. When they were about to close up, this car pulled up. This is just my quick interpretation of it. I may be wrong. Go look at her original video and all the description that she has in there. But this car pulled up. The girl acted like she was going to buy some stuff. Then she choked one of them for a full 3 seconds, and the boyfriend snatched the chain off of the person's neck. And you can see like the red bruise and then took off running, right? And yesterday, day after Valentine's Day, you guys, the world ain't shit. So I'm going to tell you experience that I saw. I don't have none of that stuff. I don't wear it. I don't believe in any of that stuff because I love me naturally, just what it is, But I was at a bus stop in Fort Lauderdale many years ago, probably more than 10 years ago now. And at this bus stop, it was in front of a shopping center, right? In front of a shopping center. And it was weird to me because as I was sitting and waiting on the bus, there was a car that pulled up behind the bus stop. And I figured, okay, they're dropping somebody off at the bus stop. So a guy got out of the car and he stood as if he was waiting for the bus, right? Then as soon as the bus came, he snatched the chain off of one of the people that were getting on the bus's neck and jumped in the car and took off. That's the worst feeling ever. I mean, it didn't happen to me, but I felt it because you're waiting on a bus, you're tired, you just got off of work, and then the bus is here. So what are you going to do? Wait a whole another hour, 2 hours for another bus pursuing this person? And the thing that really messed me up about all this, and this is where I started to change, where I started to question where society and the system puts their values in. The value is the thought process is if you don't have a car, you don't have this, you're nothing. You must be a bad person because God blesses people, And it's not true. When I went through the homeless thing, I had a legal situation, court ordered the homelessness, and I let that play out for a while. I saw so many people in nice cars, people in cars kidnapping people in cars harassing people in cars waiting for homeless shelters let out in the morning so they could abuse the women that were coming out, people in cars waiting for people to be released from different types of institutions so that they could do that. And then these same people that snatch and chain, they probably talk about people they see walk. I walk daily, well, not daily, I used to. But, easy on the perceptions and, just be careful. People in cars will rob people that are walking. And like I said, just.
Depression shows up as lack of motivation and anxiety.
All right. So this woman commented on her video, the depression shows up as lack of motivation and anxiety shows up as paralyzation or fear. And paralyzing fear, right? And I wanted to say this because then she went on to talk about ways to combat it based on her therapeutic expertise and being in school. And I'm going to tell you, these are things that I've done on my own all the time. And I don't call it depression. Sometimes there's a lack of motivation. It's just a lack of motivation. And sometimes I feel like society, capitalism, the government uses these words to kind of contain and label things a certain way when it's not. You're human. Sometimes you need an extra push. And for me, as I'm getting older, I think in my middle ageness, we come upon perimenopause and it affects us different ways. And I've done this forever. I went through a legal thing, and through that legal situation I went through, a lot of things that I was doing, they were saying, oh, then that must be, they were trying to label it in a way that was negative. Like I still do this, keep track of my time in every 5-minute increments. And I went there, and I remember when you go through a legal thing, they send you to something where you go through a psychological evaluation. I was like, am I coming off as crazy? Like, what's the problem? But then somebody let me on the tea that basically they do that so that in case the case is overturned, you can't say, oh, I'm crazy. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever. But they were trying to categorize that as something different, but I went and I found my own lawyer, which again, they were pulled over. It's a whole dramatic thing. I wrote a book in process about it called Locked Behind the Bars of Ignorance. But, that young lawyer told me, she laughed and she was like, this is what we do as lawyers. We document our time every 5 minutes. And this is something I wasn't trained to do. It comes naturally. And what I find about capitalist society is that the things that come to us naturally, that we know to do naturally, that our spirit or energies tell us to do, or how we are naturally, it's invalidated or not validated unless you go to school and get a degree for it. For me personally, I'm going to tell you some of the tools that I use. I have a journal, I have a task tracker, and I have a broadband to-do list. And what it is, and sometimes on my live I have it on there, it's really, my live on YouTube I have it on there. It's pretty boring, but it's for me, and it's encourage other people that are going through the same. So I'll have a list of things to do. Then I'll have my daily tracker with its 5-minute increments, and then I just go through and do those little lists of things that are on there. And if I come to a point, she talks about anxiety, if I come to the point where I feel a certain way or emotion about it, I take time in my journal to write it out, sort it out, be creative about it, and then you get back on task. I don't have a degree in that. I haven't studied that. And, and it makes me, when I say upset, not because of this personally, but I remember going through the legal process and they were just like, oh, if you're not a lawyer, you can't talk on it. This is an experience that I had. This is what my spirit tells me to do. I never claimed to be this, that, or other, but these are tools that I use that work for me, but all right. So watching this video brought back a lot of my memories. My mom is, Korean, South Korean, and I know this woman, I miss my mom, so every person I see, I look at and I see them as Asian, even though this woman is clear is not Asian. If you look at her description in her video, it's some language that I don't know. But I'm glad she shared this because she's given this man's face a vigorous massage. I didn't read the comments to see what context it's supposed to be in, and I don't know what that language that is. I didn't try to Google translate it. But, she's giving this man a vigorous facial massage, and I can see how somebody see it as a comedic thing. But in the Asian culture, as far as I was raised up, I'm far removed from it. But I still have a lot of memories of things that we used to do, and when we were little, even as babies, our mothers would massage us vigorously, and I forget what she used to do, the legs, stretch your legs, stretch them open, stretch them closed, stretch them behind your head, and it's to keep us limber. And she always taught us, and, I'm disowned, but, I really wish that I could have got back and revamped that training after legal, because it takes you away from you and you train yourself to be like these people want you to be. But, first thing in the morning, you get up and you do exercise. But even now, like I said, being that I miss my mom so much, every now and then I go through this thing where I follow every Korean person. And then I realize, okay, don't do that. But, you guys, when I say follow, I mean online, but, I started looking up like the little Korean dances and things like that we used to do when we were little, like the little stretches, and they're little movements, but they mean a lot, this head stretches and, the just marching around in a circle. And I remember somebody thought I was practicing for the military. I was like, no, it's just, just reminiscent of when I was young. Right. And, I came across a video a day or two ago, and maybe it's just different cultures, not even just maybe Korean, but a few days ago, there was a guy that was saying he was 90 and he could still put his legs behind his head, his knees behind his head on the floor, and it's just, importance to keep in movement. When I watch those Korean videos and the women, would do like, different mouth exercises. Weird, I know. Different mouth exercises to keep their jaw up, They would massage their faces, and they would find particular places to massage, like it's like acupuncture style that would, send vibrations different ways, And I miss all of those things. But seeing that video, I think massages are very important. I remember I got into an accident a long time ago. I was in Overtown and I had a patch on my face because glass was just like embedded in my face. If you saw the James Lee movie with all the guy with all the Asian guy with all the sparkles in his face, I was like that, right? And I remember thinking if it hadn't been for some random guy it happened. I had some random guy that came and gave me a massage, I probably would have been stuck that way. But, little things help. Massages are important. They really are, give